Today, I'm going to start this speech with an activity. Close your eyes and imagine you're back in middle school. You are not the typical good-looking child. You're going through puberty. You have acne, and your hormones are all over the place, and you haven't lost your young childhood fat yet. You're not rich, so you don't have the best clothes or shoes, but you are surviving. Kids do not even take the time to look at you, let alone speak to you. You feel very isolated. Since no one speaks to you, you have no one to hang out with at recess or at lunch. The last bell of the day finally rings. You get to go home. That is such a sense of relief. You can be around people who truly love you and make you feel welcomed. Your family. Home is the only place that you feel safe. You make it home and you get settled and go online. The first thing you see is a picture of you eating your lunch with a very mean caption. Someone was bullying you? They went out of their way to make you upset? Now you are in your house, your safe place, and you still are getting bullied. You are the joke of social media. You feel you cannot tell your family because you are embarrassed. You don't want to tell your brothers because they're both popular, and you don't want them to make fun of you for not being popular. You can't tell your mom and your dad because they work a lot and they have enough stress to worry about. You don't want to add any more to them. So you keep this information to yourself. You get bullied for a few weeks, but as those weeks pass, you feel yourself slipping into a depression. You want to be left alone. You do not laugh at the things you used to. You do not even want to go out in public. You have lost a part of yourself. Suicide is on the rise, and we need to find better ways to bring awareness to it. According to the Jason Foundation, suicide is the second leading cause of death in the United States by teenagers. There are 3,041 attempts daily by young people who are in grades 9th through 12th. If you add the numbers of the kids in 7th and 8th grade, the numbers will rise significantly. These numbers are very high, and the U.S. keeps them under the rug and does not bring enough attention to this issue. Suicide is a huge deal. Now, open your eyes. According to Suicide Voices of Education, there is one death by suicide every 40 seconds in the United States. That means there is approximately 800,000 people that die from suicide a year. Today, I will talk to you about suicide and how we need to bring awareness to this issue. By the end of my speech, you'll have been educated on the issue and you'll be able to make a difference in someone's life. The three topics I'm going to be talking about today are what causes people to kill themselves, what are the warning signs, and are there consequences to suicide? Since I have informed you of my three topics today, let's move on to what causes people to kill themselves. According to Jesse Beering of the University of Otago in New Zealand, 43% of people kill themselves because of genetics, whereas 57% of people kill themselves due to environmental factors. A few of those factors include being bullied, physical or mental abuse, homophobia, arguments with a loved one. The list just goes on and on. A common myth is that most people who commit suicide are depressed or have a mental health issue. But the truth is that 54% of people who have committed suicide did not have a diagnosable mental health disorder. In most cases, people kill themselves because of other people. A few suicide survivors mentioned if someone would have taken the time to just wave at them, someone would have took the time to smile at them, if someone would have just took 10 seconds out of their day to acknowledge that person, it would have persuaded them to not try to attempt suicide. We need to have more kindness and love in this world. We do not know the struggle of the person sitting next to us. Let's move on to a few warning signs that the sufferer may portray before they attempt to commit suicide. There are quite a few warning signs that people may show. It is hard to tell that they are warning signs, which is why we need to educate ourselves on these signs. There are also risk factors for suicide. Increase of alcohol or drug use is normally a warning sign that they are falling into a deep depression. When under the influence, it may make committing suicide a little bit easier for them. They start talking about being a burden or annoyance to you. They start having very wild mood swings. One day they're smiling and happy, then they go a week without seeing you because they have been depressed. They may also talk about feeling hopeless and having no purpose. People who have grown up around violence are a risk factor for suicide. People that have family members that have committed suicide are also at risk. Suicide affects men more than it does women, so men are definitely at a higher risk than women. Now that I've told you these things to watch for in someone, let's move on to the consequence of suicide. Once a person attempts to commit suicide, they either succeed or they fail. If a person fails, it may affect their life even more than it did before. They may end up losing a body part, they may lose oxygen to their brain function, or they also might lose an organ. They may never get back to their normal selves. There is also guilt that their friends and family feel. The friends and family are hurt beyond repair. They start questioning themselves, wondering if they did everything that they could to help that person. Were they there when they needed them? Did they answer their calls? The list just goes on and on of the questioning that they ask themselves. It changes their life as well. The major consequence of suicide is death. They will succeed, and it will cause chaos to the world that they left behind. After knowing all these facts, I hope that you choose to follow me in taking the right steps to raise awareness for suicide. By a raise of hands, how many of you agree that suicide is becoming a major issue in the United States? If you agree with what I have spoken to you about today, will you sign this petition I started for suicide awareness? Thank you.